we're back here. Now we want to talk matters cooperatives, because it's quite interesting when you mention the word cooperative. All of a sudden we have circles flicking in our minds, and we remember famous circles. Maybe they have swindled some money from their members, or their members are rioting, and it's not a good picture. It's not a good mental picture rather. But we want to discuss cooperatives in a sense of cooperation amongst people. You come together, you gang up together, and you start a business. You have high chances of succeeding, and that's why I'm joined by Christian Wilcox, who is the chief of party, and there is something new that you introduced recently. It's called Clear.
That's right.
Yeah, so clarify for us.
So recently, in fact, just last week, we launched the USAID funded Cooperative Leadership Engagement Advocacy and Research Program. It's called Clear. We want to make it more clear to people what cooperatives are and what they can be for Kenya. So this is a program which is funded by the Cooperative Development Program, and it has 3 major pillars that we'll be following for the next 5 years. Those pillars include policy and legislation. They include cooperative development, so enhancing the performance of cooperative businesses in Kenya. And then probably our most important pillar is our methodology, which is a signature USAID methodology called collaboration, learning, and adaptation, which is also accompanied by a research program.
So even before we go into the details in regards to those pillars of the Clear program, just clarify for us, because as I started off, there's the issue of cooperatives being equated to circles in our country.
That's right.
Clarify for us.
Well, in the several years that I've been working in Kenya, I have noticed a tendency for people to say SACCO when they mean cooperative. It's almost like they're synonymous. Most people associate themselves as knowing about SACCOs, savings and credit cooperative organizations. And if they have another idea of cooperatives, it might be housing, or it might be agriculture, my grandma's dairy cooperative, or this maize cooperative my family's a part of, perhaps even coffee or tea, which are major cooperatives in Kenya. So I believe that cooperatives are siloed in the minds of Kenyans. And that's something that the Clear program is trying to open up in Kenya, trying to broaden Kenyans' perspective of what the cooperative business model can mean to the people of Kenya.
All right. So let's go into the tenets, the pillars of this particular program. One of them is advocacy and making sure that there's a change in policy. We're meant to understand that the cooperative function was devolved. And what we understand in Kenya, I think the policy bit is left with the government, national government, and now the operations are left with the county government. So what are you trying to institute in our counties to help with matters policy?
Policy and legislation, especially policy itself, we would consider the foundation, the bedrock of where you build your legal framework from. And we have spent a few years exploring the situation right now in the 47 counties. And from what we understand, very few counties have actually a gazetted law on cooperatives. Those are the runners, the front runners. But even those laws are very closely related to the former framework that was before devolution, the CAP 490. So what we are trying to assist up to 25 counties with is formulating their own policy. How do they see cooperatives in their counties? How do they tailor it to the needs of their people and within their economic policies and aspirations for their county? So what does that look like, and how can we help them formulate that legislation and hopefully get it gazetted?
Okay. Then there's the issue of making sure that our cooperatives are operating optimally, making sure that they are running efficiently. Are there programs that maybe you take these cooperatives through to make sure that they are properly equipped to be able to function optimally?
Absolutely. We are working primarily with service, urban worker-owner cooperatives, but also with other cooperatives across the country. Our technical specialists have a package of support that we offer It has 5 key dimensions. So we start with governance, of course, because cooperatives really need experience with good governance. We also work with the management. Sometimes cooperative governance and the management are one and the same. That's okay, especially when you're starting out. But hopefully, eventually, you'd like to separate those two functions. Of course, whatever service they provide or whatever they produce needs to be honed, and they need to know how to market that product or service. And finally, we work with the members, because the members are the owners and they're the ones that can affect change and ultimately are responsible for the success through the governance of that cooperative.
There's the issue of also research, because research is key. I do believe before you undertake anything, you have to plan yourself, make your research, and make sure that you really understand what is going on. And this has been a gap in majority of our areas in the country. Even recently, our higher education institutions were being urged to engage more in research, which do require funds and whatnot. So in the world of cooperative businesses, how key is research, and are you also helping in that with this particular new program?
I think research is, of course, going to really help boost cooperative businesses around the world, because I truly believe that cooperatives are a part of each community's resiliency toolbox, if you will.
Yes.
So if we are able to embark on research, which the CLEAR program is in partnership with USAID, we are looking at cooperatives over a 5-year period in communities and looking at what are the behaviors that people adopt when they become part of a cooperative business. If you consider something like self-empowerment, personal voice, now that I'm a cooperative member and an owner, I have a sense of confidence, I feel more empowered in my own community. And so how do you take that behavior to your household and your community, and does that become part of a community's resiliency toolkit? So they are more resilient to shocks, whether it's climate or economic or health related.
Yes, and as we wrap this up, there's the element of young people. Oftentimes you mention cooperatives, and what we think about is, oh, my mom is in one, or my grandma is in one. So just encourage young people, how can they come together also, form a cooperative, and run business?
I work with youth cooperatives in Nairobi, and I have heard that sentiment so many times. I thought that cooperatives were for my grandma, but now I know the power of cooperatives because I have seen young people come together. We try and meet them where they are. What are you interested in? I've heard Nairobi referred to as the Silicon Valley of East Africa. There are ideas here. There are innovations here. It is so amazing to watch people work together and create their own business that they are the owners of.
Wow, that's amazing. Christian Wilcox, we really appreciate you taking time to speak to us. That is the business today on Matters Cooperatives. That was very informative. Wow. We hope that as young people now, we shall gang up together and make sure that we are starting businesses. Take your 20,000, another 20,000. 10 of you already have 200,000 shillings. Run a business, more profitable, other than you sticking with your 20K, all right? But right now, I have to remind you on our Twitter poll, and this is in regards to the what is being rolled out. Do you think the Huduma number exercise will enhance integrity, of course, of our government records in Kenya? And right now, as being told, I'm checking on Twitter to see some of your feedback as we close up the show. And yes, that's what presenters do, just to buy time so that they can find feedback. Let me see. And with that, actually my director insists I have to close. But thank you very much. The conversation continues on our social media platforms. I'm Noakit Kimboy, and Business Today wraps up. Next we have Bill.